All right. Real-time working group, September 2nd, 2020. Phase 1 still, but pretty close, right? So I think we have 2 issues to finish before we get to phase 2. So I have the first item. I opened an issue for the Helm charts this week. I don't really know a lot about Helm charts and how they work, but I think like it's going to be quite easy to enable embedded mode if we wanted to do that, or to allow embedded mode to be enabled. I think it'd be like a little bit harder to enable standalone mode where it can be independently scaled and so on. So I guess my question is, like, do we want to wait for distribution to schedule this, like, knowing they have a lot on, or do we have the expertise in our teams, in our product teams, to do this ourselves?
Yeah, right now I also don't know anything about Helm, so.
Yeah, same. I don't know anything either. It will be interesting for me to follow along because we have similar questions coming up right now as part of the image scaling epic that our team works on, because it will also, it's not entirely clear to us because we have a similar change in dependencies as well that we're looking at. And like, do we need to update the Helm charts for this as well? Like where are all these like points of maintenance, I guess, that now have to be updated for this to still work for everyone. So yeah, so no experience, but I'm curious like who does and what I can learn from that.
So I saw in the past that we did some stuff with Service Desk in our team, in the portfolio management certified team. But I don't know if it was just that that particular person had an interest and just went ahead with the Helm work. And also I think that those are 2 settings in Omnibus that just needed to be exposed in the Helm charts, and they're actually quite, and that's why I think running action cable in embedded mode might not be that hard, because it's 2 environment variables that need to be set. Running it in standalone mode requires a separate container aside from the web service container, which only handles WebSocket connections. And I think that could be quite a substantially more work. But then the question is, like, would we ever want to run it in Kubernetes in embedded mode, maybe on the staging server or one of the non-production deployments?
I guess for us, we won't be using it, right? Because the plan for GitLab.com is like totally separate containers. That's a goal, right? Why we're doing Kubernetes stuff, but maybe for customers or stuff. But yeah, that raises another question. Like we aren't really like testing that setup ourselves, and but, yeah.
So I think I'll split this issue. Well, DJ's asking if he wants us to try and schedule it in the distribution team. I think maybe we can split it and take the easier part, and at least try to iterate on it that way, and then we can look at running it in standalone mode in the via the Helm charts in the future. That might be the best way to make progress on it right away. But I'll get his opinion on that as well and see. We still, Matthias, you have the next item, so we still have 2 more issues to schedule. So,
yeah, I just wanted to pick this up again. It had come up several times now. We last time we synced, we talked about the problem of tracking whether embedded mode is enabled or not as part of usage ping. And when I first looked at this, it looked simple, but then we found, oh, maybe it's not that straightforward because it's not just an ordinary settings key, but it's set in the environment. And then we talked about, okay, well, maybe we can look at Prometheus and see if there are any action cable metrics, and then kind of derive from this whether action cable, is part of the equation, which is something I think that can work, but there was the blocker is that we do not have any action cable metrics, is my understanding. So there's another story, and I just got a bit confused along the way because now there's 2 issues: the one about publishing general action cable metrics into Prometheus, and then the usage ping one, which would be blocked by that if we go down that route. And but the milestones seem a bit backwards because the usage ping one, which I was supposed to pick up, it was scheduled for this milestone, 13.4. But then we discovered, well, there's the blocker. But then we said, well, it's not that important, so it can be, in the next, I think it was like 2-3 milestones or so. I guess that extends to this one, because like I'm asking, I'm happy to work on this. It's just like we have a lot on our table right now as well with the image scaling epic. So just for me to make a decision like how soon I should be working on this, that would be helpful to get a better idea of like when that is due.
Yeah, it seems like a shame. It's these last 2 issues are all that are blocking us completing phase 1. So, and they don't seem that hard. I mean, we have a precedent for building in Prometheus metrics for other features, so it seems like it shouldn't really be that hard. I guess it's
yeah, okay. That's great. That wasn't entirely clear to me. That is really just those 2 that will block us from concluding phase 1. No, totally. No, got it. Fair enough. I can't promise I'll get to it this week, but I can do it. I can start looking at it first thing next week.
Yeah, cool. I mean, it's not like phase 1 is somewhat arbitrary in that like customers already have the feature. Really, we only consider it like not done because we're not tracking anything about it.
No, but I agree. It shouldn't be a blocker, and yeah, it just helps me to like this is great already. It just helps me to plan my day, plan my week better.
Cool,
yeah, just to clarify also, is the Helm part of the what you call this, the phase 1 thing?
No, so Helm's part of phase 2, but it's since the way I think this is working is since the delivery team are focused on the web terminal as the first feature they'll move into Kubernetes. When they're ready to work on action cable and real time, we won't have the Helm charts ready for that, and it would make sense to try and get ahead, and prepare the Helm chart in advance. So then all they have to do, I guess, is work on the Kubernetes deployment to actually use the Helm chart to deploy the containers. In theory, anyway. But as I said, running a whole separate, like creating a new part of the Helm chart just to run the action cable standalone server is probably a substantial amount of work, especially if we don't have experience, working with the Helm charts. But sorry, in answer to your question, yeah, it's phase 2. It's just we've already tackled some phase 2 stuff. There's no reason not to make progress on it. Yeah. So, Matthias, do we have a conclusion there? Like those 2 issues are still out of order. Like one's still the milestone's still next 1 to 3 releases.
That's fine. I can update that. I'll copy Craig so he knows because they're still both under scheduled for check for